Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Jiva Dua Talks. I'm your host, Nitai, aka Jiva, and we're back with episode 8 after like a 2-week break or something. Today, I wanted to switch things up a bit and try putting on the podcast on a video format since some of you guys were asking for it. So I thought, okay, why not? Let's try it. I think it makes things a bit more personal. So let's see how it goes. Anyways, let's get started. Last episode, we were talking about spiritual authenticity and why is it important to be honest with ourselves and our shortcomings in the path of Bhakti. Obviously, this isn't a conversation that we can have in one go. In fact, it's a multi-layered conversation. So think of this episode like a sequel to the previous one. I think last time I was talking about pretending to be on a spiritual level we're not, and how that makes us lose touch with ourselves in reality, because we kind of want to be perceived as pure and spotless. And this sometimes happens perhaps because we set unrealistic expectations or unrealistic standards for ourselves, or maybe even the spiritual society pushes us and indirectly pushes us in that direction to kind of fit their ideal. But this ultimately leads to guilt, which is a topic that I've been trying to address for a long time, but maybe on another occasion. But the whole thing with guilt is that there's no room for impurity, and it's like, let me put it this way: everyone who's like taking a few of the mandatory courses, it's expected to kind of become a big preacher and start saving the world. That there's little emphasis on our personal path, because the mission, the expansion comes first. And obviously that has its place in the process, but by focusing on externals, which is what I've been talking this week on Instagram, we disconnect from our true selves, and also the purpose of Bhakti, the genuine path of Bhakti, and what Bhakti can offer us. But we can't just kind of like sit there and wait for the process or the society to do its magic without us doing anything. Spiritual authenticity has to be built on an individual level. And what does that mean? It's like we gotta be willing to be humbled. We can't forget that the purpose we're in this is to pursue the truth at all times. I remember a few months ago, one of my teachers told me that the study of the Bhagavatam is for the honest person, the person who's seeking to know the truth. So part of that is actually a big part of the process, especially in the beginning stages, because it sets an important foundation. So as I was talking to a friend a couple of weeks back, it's very important to be willing to look at ourselves with complete honesty. And what does that mean? That means accepting and addressing our shitty side, the bad part of ourselves, and also be open to receiving feedback to correct those things. Open to receive feedback from those we trust, those we can open ourselves with, and those that are affectionate to us, those who are making us aware of the parts that we need to change, basically. And we gotta address that. We gotta face that situation head on, like no matter how uncomfortable it is. So if you've been following my train of thought on Instagram this week, I've been kind of addressing or talking about this whole surface level Bhakti and the whole focusing on externals thing. And like I pointed out on Instagram, it's like it seems that somehow there's like a rise of these so-called Bhakti influencers and Kirtan rock stars, and I don't know, in the past couple of years it's just become a thing. And yeah, I've been wondering why. I think my question has been, is this constant public show of devotion all there is? Like, is that the pinnacle of bhakti? Is that what we are broadcasting to the newcomers? Is that what we want to show people, that, oh, it's all fun and games and that's it? Like, there's no spiritual depth. Yeah, just take a couple of courses and you'll be ready to start saving the world and converting other people. Is it all? That's why I think one of the questions was, is it all there is, or something like that? But my point is that are we truly interested? Are we truly focusing on having a desire of immersing ourselves in the path of divine love? In other words, are we actually interested in what bhakti, on the promise of bhakti, like, are we interested in that, or are we just focusing on getting better on putting a good show? And I don't know if I shared this on Instagram in one of my reels or on stories, or I can't remember, but I'm sure that I said this to at least one of you guys on DMs. But there's this just random thought that came a couple days back. So back in the day, we used to hear about the Sahajyas and those who are like imitating the bona fide process of bhakti, the apasampradayas, and how our acharyas speak strongly against them and all of that. And the narrative was always like, we are here and they're over there, and that's it. Like, beware of them. Don't go to Radhakund, don't hear the Babajis. Oh my God, they're gonna give you the Gopi mantra and you're gonna get all confused. But it was always like, they're over there. They're far away from us. It's us versus them. We have the ultimate truth, and everybody else is, you gotta be careful. And you will see all those ideals of the Sahajyas and how they're being represented, and it was always this thought that they're in some obscure random village in Bengal or Orissa. And yeah, but it doesn't take much to see that these things are closer than we think. They're like creeping into our society, and I'm personally worried. I don't know, it's like, yeah, it's just strange that these things are becoming very prominent, and maybe we thought that it would never happen to us, but it's happening, and we gotta pay attention to these things and do something about it. So yeah, the point is, we gotta introspect and also think, how much are we contributing to that as well? Like, are we using bhakti, or at least the externals of it, as a substitute for addressing our personal issues, our personal needs? Are we betraying ourselves under the dress of devotion? Because like I was saying, there's a fine line, bro, between dedication and a spiritual ego tripping. Because see, what the Sahajya does, what the, those people who have the wrong conception are doing, they are not so, in principle, they're not so different from what someone with the right conception is doing, in the sense that the practice is similar, the dress is similar, the externals are similar. You would see the person with tilak, with, dressed as a devotee and playing the same instruments and chanting the same mantra. So how are we gonna understand if we don't cultivate the proper philosophical understanding? I think that's what I've been trying to say. If we don't cultivate the proper philosophical understanding, then how different are we from them? And also, how are we going to be able to understand who's who? How are we going to discriminate properly as we try to advance in the path of bhakti? There is more, the process of elimination starts. So what I'm trying to say is that we gotta walk, like we must walk carefully. Both the person who's imitating and the person who has the right conception is chanting the same mantra. We are also chanting the same mantra. Bhakti, when the chanting begins, there's that, the Cheto Darpana Marjanam, the cleansing of the mirror of the mind. It all starts with that spark of faith, that adao shraddha tatao sadhu sangha tat bhajana kriya tato nartana vritti syat. It all starts with faith, and then because of that faith, that initial faith leads us to a sadhu, to a person that wants to help us get started in this process, a person that gives us that inspiration, and we are so enthusiastic and we're ready to give it all, and it's so fun, and this is what we've been looking for. And the sadhu says, hey, why don't you try this? Like, this is how it happened to me. Nobody forced me to do anything. The sadhu just came into my life and presented this process, and I was like, okay, why not? Let me try it. And that's when the bhajana kriya begins. So we start chanting, we start reading. But then when Anartha Vritti begins, all of that, our shortcomings, our difficulties, our challenges, all of our dirty things start coming out. And we are face to face with our crap. We're face to face with our innermost self. And that's kind of scary and overwhelming and confusing. And in that moment, we might also lose our motivation, because we don't experience the same kick, we don't experience the same emotions we used to feel when we first joined, and it becomes challenging. So that's the point, in my observation, where it gets easy to use bhakti as an escape or a distraction, but we risk missing out on the real essence of bhakti. Bhakti at its core is a journey towards self-realization and understanding the purpose of our existence. Why are we here? And our relationship, the whole sambandha. There's, like I was saying, was it yesterday, that our philosophy has so many layers that we need to uncover with the help of the guardians, the sadhus. And there's more than meets the eye. I think I said that as well. So it's about using the practices of bhakti to is using the practices to go deeper within ourselves. Yeah, let's put it that way. Not to create the fancy exterior, not to focus on externals, on how yeah, I think like our spiritual motivation cannot depend solely on externals and how we feel. And yeah, because ultimately we gotta give up the enjoyment spirit. But in my opinion, I feel, and I can be wrong, but I feel that it seems that the modern propagation of Krishna consciousness, sorry, it's becoming more, and I'm talking about outside programs and temple programs. It seems to me that they're becoming more and more like platforms to, I don't know, showcase our talents and get more covered. With the material conception of life. But yeah, the harsh truth is that spiritual bypassing it's a real thing. I spoke about it in episode 2, I think. But in short, it's like painting over our problems and our difficulties and all the things that are coming out from the process of unarting, really from the process itself. We're painting those problems with artificial layers of spirituality. So to wrap it up, what I want to say is that true bhakti is not about denial. In fact, it's about confronting our inner demons, especially in that stage of anartha and vritti. We have to come face to face with our difficulties. And you got to remember that spiritual growth is directly proportional to our willingness to introspect, to surrender, and make sincere efforts towards transformation. We gotta do the work. We can't expect the process to work if we don't do anything. We can't expect mercy to flow. Yes, mercy can flow without a cause, but we can't expect that we're all going to be Kripasiddhas. That's not our process. We can't ignore our challenges, and we cannot expect people to do our work. Bhakti is a very individual process. So ignoring our internal issues won't make them disappear. It will just stunt our spiritual progress. So yeah, let's embrace the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it is. All right, that's all for today. I think I'll try my best to come back next week. Until then, this is my humble attempt to bring some of these unfiltered talks and share with you guys some of my, my realizations that come by hearing the guardians, my masters, whatever comes from a morning walk, and just sharing part of my spiritual journey with all you guys. And I'm hoping that this can also open up the room for more of these conversations. I think we can all benefit from them. And I don't know, let me know if you guys like the video format. I am still trying to get comfortable with the camera, but anyways, we can talk about that later. All right, don't forget to follow me on Instagram if you want, at Jivadoya Journals, and